we're going to be transitioning out of the United States for a bit and move to Japan. After all, home video games were all but dead in the United States. No one wanted to go near them, no one wanted to retail them, and most importantly, nobody wanted to play them. It was just a big mess overall. Imagine being involved in the industry and having put in hours of time and dedication, and then having the rug pulled out from underneath your feet. That's what it was like. Therefore, pretty much the entire industry was in hiatus. It wasn't quite dead yet, but it was very far off from becoming prominent again. Going back to the point I made earlier though, let's just take a trip to Japan, the home of Nintendo and the birthplace of the revitalization of the home video game industry. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the United States saw an enormous rise in the popularity of arcade video game machines, and also development of bringing video games into the home with the popularity of Intellivision and the Atari 2600. This wasn't just a fad, it became a viable industry worth billions of dollars. However, overseas, the industry was sort of scoffed at. The Japanese sort of saw video game development as more of a hobby. It wasn't professional, and some even thought it was not honorable. They thought it was more prudent to develop business softwares, new technologies, and computers. Nintendo, however, decided to break the ice when they announced their intentions to create a home video game console for the Japanese market. After all, they had very good success in both the US and Japan with the Donkey Kong arcade game, so I guess they thought it was worth a try. Despite taking some flack from fellow technological innovators, Nintendo moved forward with their endeavor. There's evidence that they had secretly been working on a home console since as early as 1980. Led by Masayuki Uemura, the system was originally intended to resemble a home computer, with both a floppy disk drive and a keyboard, but the idea was scrapped in order to keep the cost of production low. Instead, they included a 15-pin expansion port adapter on the system in order to add on future peripheral functionalities. The system was named the Nintendo Family Computer, or as it is better known as, the FamiCom, which just combines the words family and computer. It was colored dark red and cream white, and had two hardwired controllers included. According to Nintendo, it was purposely made to look like a toy in order to appeal to children, since they thought video games appealed more to a younger audience at the time. The system hit store shelves on July 15, 1983, for a retail price of 14,800 yen, which equates to roughly 130 US dollars, which was an absolute bargain when compared to the price of the Intellivision and ColecoVision at the time. The console debuted with the games Popeye and Donkey Kong Jr. Early in its lifespan, the system sold relatively well. However, consumers noted that the systems would lag or have hanging when playing certain video games. Nintendo deduced that the fault was with a certain bit of circuitry within the systems and recalled all of the consoles. Unfortunately, this issue lost the company several millions of dollars in both sales and resources in order to fix the systems. Although it may have cost them lots of time and money, it gained them a reputation. A reputation that says, if you have a problem, we will fix it. Nintendo is still notable for its excellent customer service even today. The Nintendo Family Computer easily ousted all competition, including Sega's first attempt at a home console, the SG-1000. By the end of 1984, after just a year and a half, Nintendo had sold 2.5 million systems in Japan alone. Seeing as this was a massive success when it came to the sheer quantity sold in just Japan, Nintendo set its eyes on another territory, a region nobody dared go near for the past year: North America. It is true that retailers and consumers alike shunned any new video game product in the US, but Nintendo figured it was worth the risk. At the time, the United States was the largest market, and if Nintendo wanted to grow and become an industry leader, they would have to move into the region. Perhaps the grandest task in Nintendo's quest to make home video games viable again in the United States was to convince an extremely biased and skeptical public that their system was no joke and that the console was something that a consumer could get serious amounts of entertainment from, compared to several inferior products on the market at the time. Fellow video game creator Atari caught wind of Nintendo's system and their intentions to localize it and expressed interest in it. After all, Atari had failed with its Atari 5200 and 7800 consoles and was bleeding money after the failures of E.T. and Pac-Man. They needed something to refresh their image. It was at this point that Nintendo and Atari agreed to enter a merger of sorts. Atari was to release the Family Computer as the Nintendo Enhanced Video System. The final contract for distributorship was to be signed by Atari at the 1984 Consumer Electronics Show, but after seeing the game Donkey Kong running on the Coleco Adam, an upcoming home computer system, Atari backed out of the deal and refused to sign the contract. After the deal with Atari fell through, Nintendo decided to continue alone. After all, how would a failing company with a tarnished reputation help them get the system off the ground in the United States anyways? It would be difficult though, especially from a financial standpoint. After a few months of redevelopment, Nintendo came up with a version of the Family Computer called the Nintendo AVS, or Advanced Video System. Nintendo also took measures to protect their hardware from getting inferior content put out for their system by creating a lockout chip for the AVS. This was a precaution Atari and Mattel didn't take that caused a slew of undesirable and cheap product being put out for their systems. Although this may have ended up costing Nintendo more money, it would keep consumers happy and create a trust in the brand. Another issue with North America's viewpoint of the video game market as a whole was that it was just a fad. It didn't have any way to sustain. Because of this, Nintendo decided to rebrand the console as a home computer system of sorts. It would include a computer keyboard, cassette data recorder, as well as a basic interpreter. It would also include a variety of input devices such as standard gamepads as well as joysticks, a light gun, and even a piano. The system was designed to use infrared technology. As a result, all of the components would be wireless, which was way ahead of its time for 1984. The colorful red and white of the Family Computer was ditched in favor of a sleek black and gray design to make the system look more like a utility that could sit alongside a stereo or a VCR player. The Advanced Video System was showcased in the winter of 1984 to United States audience. The reception was mixed. Most acknowledged the new age cutting-edge technology, but many responded poorly to the wireless accessories. Not a single retailer ordered any AVS systems, most likely wary from the nightmarish video game market crash that lost them countless amounts of money. Papers and magazines alike criticized Nintendo's attempt, stating that it didn't do anything new that a Commodore 64 could do. Allegedly, Roger Bouoy of Mindscape stated, "Hasn't anyone told them that the video game industry is dead?" Nintendo knew the industry wasn't dead. It was only mostly dead. They knew with the proper promotion, technology, and software that their AVS could be a success in the United States and bring life back to a dead market. While the Family Computer continued to thrive in Japan, Nintendo wanted the North American market to increase their arsenal. So, what did they do? Did they throw in the towel and give up? Or did they keep fighting and go back to the drawing board? Well, the answer is pretty obvious. Stay tuned to find out.